As we speak, the Supreme Court is discussing whether Donald Trump can or could or should be removed from ballots around the country in 2024. But we already got one decision from an appeals court earlier this week, which was that Donald Trump does not have the blanket immunity from criminal prosecution that he claimed. This wildly triggered the failed former president who, he spent all day posting to Truth Social about this stuff, starting with, quote, "Without presidential immunity, the presidency will lose its power and prestige, and under some leaders have no power at all. The presidency will be consumed by the other branches of government. That is not what our founders wanted." And then continuing with this stuff, saying, quote, "If a president does not have immunity, the opposing party during his or her term in office can extort and blackmail the president by saying that if you don't give us everything we want, we will indict you for things you did while in office, even if everything done was totally legal and appropriate. That would be the end of the presidency in our country as we know it, and is just one of the many traps there would be for a president without presidential immunity. Obama, Bush, and soon crooked Joe Biden would all be in prison. Protect presidential immunity. Make America great again." Now, these are the rantings of a furious guy who's worried about spending the rest of his life in prison. But that doesn't mean there isn't an important discussion here about presidential immunity. It just so happens Trump is on the wrong side of it. Presidential immunity provides a sitting president with certain protections from legal liability, including immunity from criminal prosecution for actions done while in office in the performance of official duties. This is a critical aspect of this. The immunity of presidents does not extend to actions taken before or after the presidency or actions taken during the presidency outside the scope of official duties. Trump's "I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose support" thing. Our best understanding of presidential immunity would be that Trump taking out a gun and shooting someone on Fifth Avenue would not be part of his official duties as president. And even if he did it while president, he would be open to criminal prosecution. The Supreme Court has addressed issues related to presidential immunity. They've made it clear the president is not above the law. If you look at United States v. Nixon from 1974, the Supreme Court held the president is not immune from judicial processes in criminal cases. And Trump's claim that if you get rid of presidential immunity, every political opponent will misuse the legal system, undermine the presidency, etc. We should be concerned about the misuse, political misuse of the legal system. It's valid in the sense that if that were happening, we should oppose it and we should seek to stop it. But we have checks and balances that prevent that. And indictments and prosecutions require evidence of wrongdoing. They must go through layers of judicial review, grand juries, courts that are designed to act as neutral arbiters. In Trump's case, many of those arbiters and courts and judges were appointed by him. And so Trump's suggestion that if there is no presidential immunity for allegedly criminal actions that are not directly related to one's role as president, and if that were the case, Obama would be in prison and Bush would be in prison and Biden would soon be in prison. It's speculative. It doesn't reflect legal standards that we have in this country for criminal prosecution. And it certainly doesn't reflect the historical application of presidential immunity. So is presidential immunity an important and relevant topic? It absolutely is. It's particularly relevant when we say things like, well, presidents are the president is the commander in chief of the military. George W. Bush, when he decided to invade Iraq, that decision led to the deaths of thousands of American and coalition troops. And what's the real number of Iraqi civilians? Is it hundreds of thousands? Is it in the millions? I don't know. What about prosecuting him for murder? Well, I'm not taking a position as to whether it's good or bad, but determining what the military will do and engage in is one of the roles of a president. And that is where presidential immunity is understood to apply. Now, I know many of you will say, David, Bush should have been charged for murder. He should have been charged for war crimes. I understand. But that is uncontroversially where presidential immunity applies. To the things Trump did, it does not apply. And he is going to have to get out of this by either striking a deal or getting acquitted, not by getting bailed out on presidential immunity. So that's where we are, and we'll be watching the trials very closely. When you log into your Google or Facebook account, these companies have your IP address, which is valuable to them because when you do all of your other browsing online, almost every site on the web is sending your IP address and browsing activity back to those big tech companies so they know what you do across the internet. The only solution is to hide your IP address while you're online using a VPN. I use private internet access, the only VPN that is proven multiple times in court. They do not log your activity. Private internet access is optimized for streaming and for large downloads. You can access content on streaming platforms like Netflix that's normally only available in other countries. Private internet access now has 91 country servers to pick from and new dedicated IP locations. It also comes with their built-in ad and malware blocker called Mace, which blocks virtually all pop-ups. Private internet access is giving my audience 83% off, comes out to $203 a month, plus 4 extra months for free. Go to piavpn.com/Pacman. The link is down below.